Quilty friends, it's September. That means it's time for our next block in our Beginner Quilt Sampler. And for September, we are making the lovely Bear Paw. Now, these are the colors that I'm using, and this is a very simple block. The main tip to let you know is just pay attention to the direction of your half square triangles when you're sewing these units together. Otherwise, you could accidentally get one turned. This one is a lot of fun to make, and it's really great to be able to fussy cut larger hero prints to put in this section of your block. So let's get started on our next block, the Bear Paw. Here's what we need to make our Bear Paw block. We'll have our A fabrics, which will be this part of our bear paw. We'll need a C fabric, and I'm using the pink, which will be this part of our half square triangles. And then we need our background fabric. We'll need a D, which goes here, and then the other D square is what will make up the rest of your half square triangles here. So that is what mine is gonna look like. All right, so we are gonna be setting our A square aside as well as our small D square aside for now. We're just going to be working with our C fabric and one of our background squares. A couple things that can be helpful for you if you have a rotating cutting mat. It can be really helpful when it comes to half square triangles and making those. If you don't have one, that's okay, but it definitely is helpful for sure. I'm using my Sew Tots rotating cutting mat. It has magnet boosters to be able to hold rulers down as well as applique and things like that. So I am a fan of this, even though it is a little bit of a splurge. It's very, very helpful. Any kind of rotating cutting mat will work for you though. All right, so what we're gonna do is we are going to lay our D square, which is the background square for me, on top of our C square, right sides together. And we're just gonna pin in the middle, and I'll use 2 pins here. That way things don't move when we go to sew. I have this under our presser foot, and see, it had already moved when I pinned it, when I had that little wiggle there, and it moved things around. Now we do trim this down, so if it's not perfect when you line these up, that's okay. All right, so now we are gonna go to our sewing machine, and you're gonna sew a 1/4 inch all the way around this entire square. Okay, so we have sewn a 1/4 inch all the way around here. Take our pins out and then go give this a really good starch and press, because we're going to be cutting on the diagonal on the bias. And so using a lot of starch will help things not move around quite a bit. So we've got that starched really nicely. And so now we are going to cut on the diagonal. Now we're not cutting on the diagonal of the ends of your pieces of fabric, but rather the diagonal where your seams are, where those stitches meet right there. That will give us a good cut on the stitch diagonal there. And so we're just gonna cut this direction. And then because I have a rotating cutting mat, I can just spin it, and I don't have to lift the fabric or move the fabric around. I'm lining up again here, right there, and then right here, not the corners, because sometimes we don't have these lined up 100%, and this is going to be trimmed down. So we are cutting on the diagonal, but making sure our ruler's lined up with where our stitches met there. All right, now we have our 4 half square triangles. So you are going to go to your pressing station and press these, and you're going to be pressing towards your C fabric this direction here. So go ahead and press all 4 of those. So now that we have these all pressed nicely, it's time to trim our half square triangles down. I love to use the block lock ruler. If y'all know me, because of this groove here, it locks on the seam. It doesn't really work if you are using a block where you have to press your seams open, because it doesn't lock on that. I mean, you can still use it, but when you have pressed your seams to the side, it is really, really helpful. So we are gonna trim this block down. And I've got that lined up there. And this also is where the rotating cutting mat can be very helpful. It's not much to cut on that side, just mainly the dog ear. And then we've cut that down. And that's what that's gonna look like. So go ahead and trim the other 3 half square triangles. Now we have our 4 half square triangles. We're ready to go, and we are going to start working on the first row that we need to make. So you're going to grab your D background square, and you're going to grab one of your half square triangles. Just make sure that you notice the direction of your half square triangle. When I was doing a test block, I accidentally got these reversed, so you'll have to unpick if you forget. So what you're going to do, just look at that diagram and make sure that the half square triangle is at the bottom here, and I like to do it this way, and when you flip it over this way, it's going to be down at the bottom right hand side when you're ready to stitch. So you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch all the way down here. Now that we have that sewn together, we're actually going to go to our pressing station and we're going to press towards the D background square. Now take another half square triangle, and again, you're going to want to make sure you have it in the right spot here so you can look at your diagram. We're going to lay right sides together, and we'll also see our C fabrics down here at the right hand side, right bottom edge as shown like this. And we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch down here, and then we're going to press towards the right side to make the whole top unit. And now we've pressed this direction towards the right, and we have now made our top unit. So let's set that aside. Now we've put this row aside right here, and we've got 2 half square triangles left. So you're going to look there at your diagram to make sure you've got them laid out correctly, and then you're going to lay one half square triangle on top of the other half square triangle, making sure that your C fabric here is now at the bottom left as shown, as you can see when that's put over on top of that. And we're going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way down here. Now we've sewn that unit together, we've pressed to the left, and we are ready to assemble our block. So you're going to take your A square, your big A square here, and we're going to want to look at our side unit. So that is your smaller unit first. And I like to look here at the image, make sure these are turned the correct direction. You could accidentally get them like this, and you don't want to have to unpick. So just take a little extra moment there. Make sure these are facing the right direction. And then you can lay it like this and sew a 1/4 inch, or technically, if you look at the diagram, you're going to lay this one on top of this one and sew a 1/4 inch down here. Okay, we've got those 2 pieces sewn together, and we have pressed towards the A square. So now we are ready to put on this top unit here to make our bear paw. And so you really only have one area to nest, and it is this part right here. And so I like to pin to make sure that stays nested when I go under my sewing machine there. And then you are going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way down. So we've sewn that top row on, and now it's just time to press. And so we're going to press this down again towards our A square. And there we go. We have our September block, the bear paw. Isn't that fun? And I think this is fun too, because if you have prints, maybe a larger print that's got, bigger flowers or something in it, and you want to fussy cut this square is nice and big for this 12.5 inch block. So it would be a great one to use some hero print fabrics in there, particularly if you're doing a scrappy one, or if you're doing one with yardage and you have that hero print and yardage, this is a great place for that. Okay, quilty friends, well, now we've got September in the books for our sampler. I look forward to seeing you on October 1st for our next block of the month. Until then, quilty friends, make lovely things.